The conversation still to come. We got Keith Marshall, former Millbrook High School star right here in Raleigh, of course, formerly of UGA. He comes from a very athletic family. His father played in the league. His brother is currently a running back at Georgia Tech. Wow, I mean, you're talking about this guy running a 4.31 at the combine. Up next, after the break, we're going to be joined by a young lady who is in studio with us, JQ, as a matter of fact, and she was at the All-American high school basketball game in Chicago, which was it's always a big deal. And so she's going to join us next as you're in the zone with D-Ware and Rico right here on ChoiceFM. She's with us right now, and you know, she goes by the name of JQ as a matter of fact, and of course her company is JQSportsPR, and she does a lot of stuff with the high school. She knows the high, like I don't know the high school scene. I don't know about you, but I don't know the high school scene. So it's good to have you here, JQ.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now you were at the All-American, or the McDonald's All-American.
Yes.
Let me be more specific about that in Chicago. Just kind of your thoughts and you know, your thoughts on the game. It was a pretty good game, obviously.
Well, it was my first year at the McDonald's All-American in Chicago, and it was a great experience. What's crazy is that most of the guys that I interviewed, I've already interviewed before, you know, at other tournaments. But it was a great experience. The game was unbelievable. The Powerade Jam Fest was crazy. I mean, we had front row seats, and I think the venue was dope. They had it at a theater this year, the Chicago Theater to be exact.
So JQ, who do we need to be on the lookout for this upcoming college season?
Whew. So many players to name, but of course you got Bam Adebayo out of High Point Christian Academy. He's going to Kentucky. And then you have De'Aaron Fox, a guard from Texas. He's going to Kentucky as well. But Frank Jackson, he'll be going to Duke next year. He surprised me. I thought he did a really good job. He was the winner of the slam dunk contest at the McDonald's All-American. But you had a couple other guys. Josh Jackson just announced his decision.
Why isn't Carolina getting these one and done guys? I looked at, you know, where most of the commits went to, Duke, Kentucky, a couple other places, Kansas. Why isn't Roy getting these one and done guys?
Well, of course, I mean, everyone knows about the whole academic scandal that they were going through. So I think a lot of players are afraid of that, not being able to play, you know, in their college years. And I mean, I think that really had a big impact of these college kids, these high school kids not going up to Carolina. But they got 7 Wolves out of South Carolina.
Tell us a little bit about your company.
It's JQSportsPR. I'm a sports publicist for mainly high school basketball players. Right now I have Dondre Griffin. He was my first student athlete. He's committed to Murray State. He'll be playing there next year. A student at Ravenscroft, but he'll be making his decision very soon. Well, his announcement of where he'll be transferring to a prep school up north. He told me not to say anything right now, so I won't disclose that. But right now, so what I do with these student athletes is mainly academic monitoring, making sure their grades are on point so they can play at the next level. And then a social media consultant, you know, I'm not stalking their page, but, you know, from time to time I go on their social media just to make sure they're not putting anything up there that's going to hurt their image or the recruiting process, their self-image, you know, just being mindful of how they're presenting themselves to the public. And then as a publicist, I monitor and regulate what media is out there on the internet. So if anyone wants to do an interview or have a photo shoot, they have to come through me. And then of course I have parents, you know, would ask me, hey, do you mind accompanying us on an official visit? So that's something else that I offer to the student athletes. But on the PR side, we just had the RDU High School All-Star event. It was a great success. Shout out to Eric and Jason and everyone that came out to, you know, take a look at these kids that did a marvelous job. Raleigh Alkins was out there. I actually just did a one-on-one interview with him at Caps Urban Wear. We'll be releasing that very soon. Granted the full scholarship to play at Maryland Eastern Shore, the MEAC conference.
You played at UMES?
Yes, I did.
You know, I got my Morgan State. I got my Morgan State shirt on now. You know that, right?
And y'all drug us. But yeah, after my first year, I went to a JUCO in Texas, played there for 1 year, and then finished off at St. Andrews Presbyterian College that's located in Laurinburg, North Carolina. So the recruiting process for me wasn't as it is now for some of these girls. I know back then we didn't have a lot of recruiting scouts or recruiting services to help us out. So I think that made a big difference now.
And you're more with the boys, but I asked you about high school sports as a whole, but more specifically with the girls. I mean, it's the girls they're getting up there in the whole recruiting process. ESPN is more involved. The girls recruiting is getting a lot bigger too.
And I will say this, I just want to make something clear. I have a lot of people ask me, why do you only work with male athletes? And it's not that I only work with male athletes. I'm a one-person brand, so that I can only do so much, because I do everything from the recruiting, the athlete, to working with the athletes, marketing, and et cetera, et cetera. But as my company grows, I will be adding girls sports and even to lacrosse and baseball. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Nice. You are in the zone. JQ, of course, of JQ Sports PR, joins us here on In the Zone on Choice FM.
Hey, looks like we got a call.
Okay, yeah. So we're gonna take a break right here, because actually, as a matter of fact, as promised, and before we let you go, JQ, any last words? What are some of the things you may want to say to some of the younger people that are listening to the show, some of the parents that are on this path? Because I guess at the end of the day, a lot of people see, maybe you look at it now, they want to maybe play professionally, but the bottom line is you should be trying to kind of get that education. What would you say to some of those younger people that have aspirations, let's just say more so to play college ball and get that athletic scholarship?
Well, number one, I would say be careful of who you let in your circle, because everyone doesn't have your best interest at heart. Number two, be mindful of what you're putting out there to the public. Everything from the social media to your self-image. These college coaches, yes, granted, you may be a very talented player, but they're also looking at your character, the way you talk to people, the way you interact with people. So keep that in mind. And always remember, when you think no one's watching, someone is watching you. And I know I just went over the general idea of what my company is, but just to get more information, you can go to my website at JQSportsPR.com, and they'll give you a better idea of what I do and what I'm aiming for to working with these high school students.
And then how can we follow you? Instagram?
Yes. Everything is JQ Sports PR. I keep it simple, so there should be no excuse of why I shouldn't have more followers.
JQ, we appreciate the time.
Thank you guys for having me.